Hey guys, it's AprilMayRain. You are looking awesomely beautiful today. Guys, I just wanted to make this video really quickly to compare GSkill's most popular memory, the TridentZ series. This is the TridentZ Neo versus the TridentZ RGB. How are they different? How are they the same? I actually have no idea as far as performance. If you want to know physical differences, I made a first part 1 video all about the physical differences, but this is the part 2 where I'm just doing performance. So as you can see, I'm running bench test right now. I have the 2 kits here, and then I also have the kit that was already in my work computer. I'm going to be showing all those after I just kind of finish the bench test, and then we're going to hop into my other computer where I'll be on that screen where I will go through the results because I'm really excited to see how this will turn out. I have no clue. I have absolutely no idea. I cannot wait because this is the comment that I got the most on my other video, which was, what about the performance differences? And I was unable to do that because the different timing speeds. But now, both of these are 16 gig. Let me pick them back up. Both these are 16 gig at 3600 and very close CL latency times, the closest that I can possibly get. So this is the test. It's going to be on an Intel system, but I'm sure it's very similar to AMD. But if I get enough comments on this video, then I'll have to do an AMD comparison where I'm testing this in an AMD system. I cannot wait, but it should be very similar to your system. But first thing I want you guys to do is hit that subscribe button. Make it rain on that subscribe button because only 25% of you who watch my videos are subscribed, which is kind of sad because I want to hang out with more of you guys more often. But if you're coming here from just Googling, hey, what RAM should I get that's faster? You've come to the right place because I cannot wait to show you guys the results. Without further ado, let's just get into it. So it's a few days later. I am here at my computer with the results. Really excited to show you guys, but really quickly wanted to answer some questions about the physical differences that I've gotten a lot of questions on my first video. So one was the RGB actual comparison. So what I did, laid the computer down, did a top view time lapse of just the default startup, and as you can see, I really couldn't tell any difference. Maybe you could argue that the RGB was brighter in places and a little inconsistent with color, but I couldn't see it. They could have been just a different kind of default startup. I watched it a few times. I looked at it with the naked eye. The RAM looks beautiful. I really couldn't tell any difference. Another question that I got a lot on was the wiggle, is what they're calling it. The lighting node wiggle. So here's both RAMs right here. I'm showing you guys. I have myself is up there, so I need to be looking at what you guys are seeing. As you watch the first video if you haven't already, if you really want to know the physical differences. But really, this wiggle is this. So as you can hear, that's the wiggle on the Neo, and here's the wiggle on the RGB. And when I say wiggle, it is the actual LED node, the strip, shaking back and forth vertically a little bit, but more horizontally. So I can just shake it and you can hear that. So if I do it with the Neo, not as bad. So they definitely fixed it. I mean, the kit that I got, both kits of RGB RAM I had shook. The kit of Neo that I had didn't as much. So, maybe they fixed it in Neo. But let's get to the PowerPoint. As you can see that I have the Neo versus the RGB. The benchmarks that I used user benchmarks. I used hardware monitor to really tell the temperatures and do some more testing like that. I used IMDA64 for my stress test. Cinebench, because I think, as you'll see, RAM has something really big to do with their Cinebench score. And I did Passmark as just an overall memory, just pushing at all sides in the reads and writes. So let's get to it. So here are the TridentZ kits that we are battling off. They're all 16 gigabytes, 8 gig a stick, sold as dual channel memory. The 2400 CL15 was what I already had in the system that I'm just throwing into the mix, but really we want to face off that 3600 RGB at the CL17 and the 3600 Neo at the CL14. Now I tried to get RAM that was the closest in speeds. I know if I was a gamer's Nexus type of Steve, I could go in really deep with this and go in the BIOS and get them exactly the same. But I'm just trying to give you the real world, equivalent. Like, these exist, and if you're putting them in your system, this is what the performance, the margins you're going to get. The test bench, I have all the specs right there. So let's get into our first test bench. So here's user benchmark. It is the most popular way to bench test your computer, and what I'm recommending you guys do is also use user benchmark because it's super easy to set up and just run on your computer. What I don't like is do not take any of those performing way above expectations numbers. Don't even use those at all, because those are telling you that there's other people with systems like you that performed better than you, but you don't know if they're, like water cooling those actual dim sticks. So don't even use those percentile numbers, but really look at that percent bench. So I kind of like just how much information it gives you. So as you can see, you can go through there. I did give the Neo the prize here, but that RGB was super, super close behind, just with a little less latency. For Cinebench, these results actually surprised me because the RGB 3600 would win always just by a hair over the Neo in multi-core, and then in single core they would go back and forth. This is very strange because I always thought Cinebench was very, very processor heavy, so I learned something that it actually uses a lot of RAM power too. As you can see, the 2400 didn't do as well. So this is really interesting because I did try this a few times and the RGB always won. And for some reason, I really was thinking that the CL14 on the Neo would always be able to beat the RGB. But for some reason, and it might be, I mean, I really want to triple check this, but it could be the fact that TridentZ Neo is better performing with a Ryzen CPU on AMD's platform. So I'm really curious about this. So would love to see, want to run more tests on this. So for IMDA64, I did a 10-minute stress test, and off the bat, you can see that the 2400, the RGB, doesn't even have a dim temperature sensor in it. I was like, actually kind of shocked, but then I looked up, did some research. The 2400 is apparently a really early kit, so don't buy it. If you guys are looking for any RAM, please at least be in that 3000 range. But really, we want to look at the RGB and the Neo on that right side. I gave them a tie, and why I did is it's very confusing. A IMDA64 test, there's a lot of factors that are involved. This may look really complicated, but let's go through it slowly. The average temperature for the Neo was higher, but the CPU utilization was lower. But the voltages of the Neo were higher. So the RGB had to work less than the Neo. It's all very confusing. I'm just going to throw this graph out there and leave it here, or these numbers, and you guys can look through them and go through it. I tried to make these tests as accurate as I could, but yet again, I'm not a Steve from Gamers Nexus. I would be able to tell you why the core clock was one lower on the Neo than it would be on the RGB. That also could be something to do with Neo prioritizing its AMD functions. I have no idea because the TridentZ RGB looks great on an Intel system. For Passmark, I really think this is the best memory bench test you can do for your memory. Yet again, it does give you that percentile in there. Ignore that. What I was really looking at is that memory latency. This is where the Neo really shines, is that CL of 14 that gave it that 22. That's why I gave it first place. The RGB kind of struggled in a few things, but really this is where you can actually see this number difference. You can actually see why that CL14 is so powerful on that Neo, and why I think the Neo is just more optimized for this kind of workloads that Passmark is giving it. So that's all I'm leaving it for Passmark. Poor little RGB over here, he tried. And that is it, guys. I'm giving first place to Neo. I really wanted to find an RGB kit that had the exact same CL timings as a Neo kit, but I couldn't find them anywhere. There were 32 gigs, the 64 gig kits. I couldn't find anything as close as I did with these two guys. So my recommendation, if you are getting either of these RAMs, is to go for the Neo. Here's the packaging differences if you wanted to know. This one does have our Ryzen on there, and then there's a lot more rewards for this because this was the first kit that kind of came out. So giving the rewards to this guy, they're like, oh, we're just going to rehash this. So this is the updated version to this RGB kit. So please, better build quality, a little bit more efficient. Go for this guy. Better timings. Go for the Neo, guys. That's all you need to do. If you guys want to watch more of these kind of videos, I have a lot of more videos on the Corsair products. So I did the Corsair RAM comparisons, and I've done a few more comparison with the TridentZ skills memory too. So why don't you go ahead and watch those and subscribe. Would love for you guys to subscribe. I would love to hang out with you guys more, and it lets me make more videos if you hit that like button and comment. I will be in those comments. Remember, I'm no Anthony from Linus Tech Tips, so I know that my tests may have been off, or what if there's anything that I said that was off, let me know nicely and I will try and do better next time. But this is, I did the best I could for the products that I was given and for the abilities that I could respond back to the comments that I'm getting for my previous content to just answer you guys' questions. That's all I want to do, is be here for you as someone to help you through this journey of either building a computer or upgrading. So either way, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I love all of you guys so much. Stay awesomely beautiful, and hope I'll see you once again.